Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed lunch, and now we are ready to start the second plenary session about the social economy in the age of cities. The aim of this session is to highlight the fact that one of the main objectives of GSEF is to tie the evolution of development in cities to the social economy. Let me introduce you the panelists, starting by the moderator. Le modérateur sera Mr. Luigi Martinetti, secrétaire général du Réseau européen des villes et régions de l'économie sociale, REV. Bienvenue. Vous pouvez vous asseoir au milieu s'il vous plaît. Oui, merci. And now the panelists. Ms. Christiane Bouchart, vice-présidente de l'agglomération de Lille pour le développement durable. Elle est aussi présidente du Réseau français des collectivités territoriales pour une économie solidaire. Vous pouvez vous asseoir à sa droite, s'il vous plaît. Bienvenue. Madame Simelessim, chef d'unité de l'OIT coopérative. Bienvenue. Vous pouvez vous asseoir à sa gauche. Monsieur Robert Baudry, adjoint au maire de la ville de Montréal, responsable des politiques de développement économique. Bienvenue. On appelle aussi Lourdes Beneria, professeure émérite at Cornell University's Department of City and Regional Planning. Bienvenida. Se puede sentar aquí a la izquierda. También llamamos a Emilia Saiz, Secretary General, UCLG, Ciudades y Gobiernos Locales Unidos. Y Martín van de Boer, Executive Director of Cities. Welcome to the stage. And now we give you all the floor.
Well, welcome to this session about cities and social economy. Actually, this session was somehow already introduced by the last two interventions of the session this morning, actually. I introduce myself. I'm Secretary General of the European Network of Cities and Regions for the Social Economy. That is a network that was created in Europe almost 25 years ago to deal with all the issues relating to partnership between the social economy and the local authorities. In 25 years, a lot of things have changed. And I would try to ask my colleagues here to focus on some of the main changes. But before that, as we have a very mixed panel, I would like to ask everybody of you to introduce yourself in order to underline what is your point of view. So I will start from my right, from Christiane Bouchart. Please, the floor is yours.
Donc, Christiane Bouchart, moi je suis élue à la ville de Lille en charge de l'économie sociale et solidaire, effectivement vice-présidente de la Métropole sur le développement durable, ce qui me permet de faire la transition entre ces deux politiques, et je préside le RTES, qui est donc un réseau de collectivités françaises sur le champ de l'ESS, qui regroupe des villes, des intercommunalités, des départements et des régions. Et je pense qu'aujourd'hui, la conviction qui est partagée par l'ensemble des réseaux, c'est qu'effectivement l'ESS a aujourd'hui une capacité à agir, à répondre aux grands enjeux sociaux, sociétaux et aujourd'hui environnementaux, et qu'elle est fortement liée, de par ses modes de faire, de par ses finalités, de par ses pratiques, elle est donc fortement liée au développement du territoire et au développement local.
Merci Christiane. Je passe la parole maintenant à Robert Baudry. Donc on continue dans ces directions.
Parfait. Robert Baudry, oui, je suis élu du centre-ville de Montréal, responsable au développement économique, commercial, également aux relations gouvernementales. J'ai un passé quand même de 15 ans dans le domaine de l'organisme à vocation sociale. Donc, j'ai travaillé essentiellement dans les volets d'employabilité, de pré-employabilité, mais également aussi dans une organisation qui faisait l'intermédiaire entre les entreprises d'économie sociale ou les organismes communautaires à vocation sociale qui travaillaient en itinérance et les entreprises privées pour créer des synergies, mais aussi favoriser le développement de contrats. D'ailleurs, c'est un peu le message que voulait envoyer la mairesse en me nommant au développement social, au développement économique. C'était qu'il y avait quand même une cohérence pour notre administration entre l'économie sociale et le développement économique plus global. Et c'est ce qu'on s'est affairé à faire dans notre stratégie de développement économique qu'on a déposée très récemment. Donc, on en discutera un peu plus tard.
Hola a todos y a todas. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Emilia Saiz, and I am the Secretary General of United Cities and Local Governments. This is a world organization that has inherited the world movement of municipalities that was created in 1913. We have currently over 240,000 members in over 140 different countries in the world. And we are convinced that Agenda 2030 is our new social contract. We need to revise the way that we live and decide together. We need to revise the way that we deal with the planet. And we need to revise the way that decisions are taken globally from the perspective of a global citizenship. And we think that the topic of this forum, social economy, is a very important tool to achieve that. So that's why I'm here, to share that with you.
Good afternoon. I'm Simel Eşim, a Turkish political economist. I head the cooperatives unit of the International Labour Organization, which is a United Nations agency responsible for the world of work. Decent work is the framework of this institution, which is also one of the Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 8, on how to have international labor standards for the protection of workers and the creation of employment, social protection, and within conditions of social dialogue. Cooperatives have been integrated into the ILO since its foundation 99 years ago. There is an international labor standard, Recommendation 193, on the promotion of cooperatives. In 2 weeks' time, we will be discussing guidelines on statistics of cooperatives. How does this connect to the social and solidarity economy? In the ILO, we see cooperatives and the social economy in very much a continuum. And we do have now in a number of countries, like Tunisia, our project colleagues are here to present this afternoon. In South Africa, policy, advisory services, institutional capacity building, research and social dialogue for social and solidarity economy, with the goal of youth employment advancement in the social economy, women economic empowerment in the social economy. And we are also heading the UN Task Force on Social and Solidarity Economy. We work very closely with UNRWA and other UN agencies and social and solidarity economy entities that are observers. And there is now discussion about starting a standard-setting dialogue around social economy at the United Nations, at the ILO. So GSEF is a very important forum for moving these, sowing these seeds and moving them into, growing into plants.
Thank you. Madame Benería.
Buenas tardes, soy Lourdes Benería. Para mis amigas y amigos españoles tengo que decir que hablaré en inglés porque parece que me lo han preguntado, que si lo podía hacer. So I'm going to move into English. I'm an economist and I am a professor emerita in the Department of City and Regional Planning at Cornell University. But since I retired, I live in Barcelona, Spain, where I at the country and the city of my origin. Previous to Cornell, I taught also at Rutgers University in the United States, at Columbia University, and I worked at the ILO for a couple of years, but also have worked for other international organizations such as UNIFEM, which was UNIFEM in the past and now is UN Women, and also UNRWA and UNDP. My work has concentrated around labor economics, development, especially Latin American development, where I worked the most. I worked on the informal sector in Latin America, especially in the 1990s, women's work, and gender and globalization. I've worked in Mexico City, especially, and the informal sector of Peru and Bolivia.
Thank you. Martin?
Buenas tardes a todos y todas y gracias a nuestros amigos Euskadi por la increíble hospitalidad. My name is Martin Vandenborre. I'm the General Director of CITES, which is the International Center for the Transfer of Innovation and Knowledge in the Social and Solidarity Economy, an international network of cities, local governments, civil society organizations, and institutions of higher learning that was started at the last GSEF 2016 in Montreal to help foster and accompany cross-pollination of innovation, knowledge, models, public policy between our member territories and beyond. We have a perspective of equal knowledge and equal value of the knowledge and the expertise that's found within local governments, civil society organizations, and institutions of higher learning. And we think it's important to have those three components in order to accompany the transfer of social economy, but its development and its innovation, the innovation process within that. My background is mostly in productive and consumption chains, looking for fairness and transparency, working in fair trade networks, and local development through cooperative development through the CDR network in Quebec.
Thank you. Thank you for this introduction. Now, I would like to propose you a first question. As I was saying before, in the last 25 years, cities have changed a lot. Actually, we knew that we were going towards a concentration of people around cities, and this is true, and will become even more strong in coming years. What was not foreseeable, was not foreseen at least 25 years ago, was that the cities were to lose control over the social economic dynamics happening in the cities themselves. We heard in the previous session what could be the impact of financial oriented decisions taken elsewhere on the cities. These have been generating a change in the labor market, for instance, a change also in terms of affordability for people to live in the city. Now, my question is how the social economy, in your experience, has helped public authorities, the city, and citizens actually to deal with these kind of problems. What could be done further? Je commence à nouveau par Christiane Bouchart. En fait, Lille est au centre d'une métropole. Justement, est le cas typique de ce que je disais tout à l'heure, donc l'élargissement de l'espace urbain.
Oui, merci. Effectivement, comme je le disais dans mon propos préliminaire, pour moi, l'économie sociale et solidaire, c'est une économie qui est ancrée dans la proximité des territoires et qui contribue à sa vision transformatrice. Donc l'économie sociale et solidaire, aujourd'hui, elle contribue à la fois à avoir des territoires résilients sur le plan économique, des territoires innovateurs sur le plan social et des territoires démocratiques sur le plan politique. Je reviens en quelques minutes sur chacun des points. Sur l'aspect des territoires résilients sur le plan économique, je pense qu'il est important aujourd'hui de dire qu'un territoire résilient, c'est avant tout un territoire qui profite directement à ses habitants. Or, aujourd'hui, on a des inégalités territoriales qui progressent. La réponse, justement, à la densification des territoires déjà très riches, notamment les grandes métropoles, effectivement, qui pourraient jouer un peu ce rôle de locomotive pour les autres territoires, eh bien, en général, c'est soit insuffisant, soit inapproprié. Et donc, c'est plus la diversité des activités économiques et leur mise en réseau dans un cadre d'une économie de proximité qui favorise la redistribution de la richesse économique au niveau des habitants. Et effectivement, là, on s'appuie sur des initiatives qui sont nombreuses, hein, que ce soit les circuits courts alimentaires, les circuits courts en matière d'agriculture paysanne, que ce soit sur la transition énergétique, que ce soit sur l'épargne de proximité qui, là aussi, profite au territoire, ou que ce soit, par exemple, sur les pôles territoriaux de coopération économique qui, là aussi, associent le monde de la recherche, le monde universitaire et l'ensemble du monde économique pour apporter un certain nombre de solutions. Des territoires innovateurs sur le plan social, là aussi, modèle économique alternatif au sens où elle met en pratique des nouvelles manières justement de produire, d'entreprendre, de consommer, d'épargner, de se déplacer, enfin bref, de créer de la richesse à des fins d'utilité sociale et d'intérêt général. Et là aussi, l'économie sociale et solidaire est pionnière dans le domaine de l'économie circulaire, par exemple avec des associations comme Emmaüs ou ou autour de l'économie du réemploi. Dans l'économie collaborative, on a parlé ce matin des accorderies, mais on pourrait aussi parler de l'autopartage, ou dans l'économie résidentielle comme la silver economy et les maisons de santé. Bref, toutes ces formes d'économie sont désormais mises à l'honneur, et ça aussi c'est un élément important par rapport à il y a quelques années. Elles sont reconnues plutôt que l'économie financiarisée qui, elle, est plutôt hors sol. Mais ces innovations, il est important, puisqu'elles ont fait leurs preuves, qu'elles viennent renforcer la cohésion sociale et l'égalité territoriale. Et troisième point que je souhaitais souligner, c'est l'aspect contribution à la démocratie des territoires. On l'a dit aussi, l'économie sociale et solidaire, ce n'est pas seulement des statuts, ce n'est pas seulement un mode de développement économique à part entière, c'est aussi la préoccupation de réintégrer la question démocratique. Alors la question démocratique dans la gestion des entreprises, mais surtout la démocratie en prenant en compte la participation des producteurs, des citoyens, des bénévoles, des usagers, donc de l'ensemble des parties prenantes dans la démarche de territoire. Et là aussi, ça renvoie à la posture et au rôle de l'élu qui doivent là aussi évoluer et être plus dans un rôle d'animation et d'accompagner le travail de conception, de consultation, de décision. Bref, aujourd'hui, il est essentiel d'évaluer la politique publique aussi autrement, et je pense que la place des acteurs dans cette démarche devrait être plutôt une place de co-concepteurs, de co-constructeurs et de co-évaluateurs de la politique publique.
Merci Christiane. Oui, allez-y, vous pouvez suivre. En fait, je retiens spécialement, tu as utilisé souvent le mot innovation et le mot évolution, et je pense que c'est un peu le processus qui doit lier l'économie sociale, qui est propre à l'économie sociale en fait, et est lié à l'autorité publique. Je passe d'une métropole à l'autre, donc Montréal, même question, comment réagir, comment se saisir des instruments de l'économie sociale pour réagir au nouveau contexte.
Oui, en fait, concrètement, vous l'avez dit d'entrée de jeu, les villes n'ont pas souvent tous les pouvoirs nécessaires. Excusez-moi. N'ont souvent pas nécessairement tous les pouvoirs nécessaires pour intervenir auprès d'enjeux qui sont probants et qu'elles vivent là, directement dans les grands centres. Là. Je vais prendre des exemples clairs, là, la pauvreté, l'itinérance, l'habitation. Où nos métropoles génèrent et attirent aussi la pauvreté des zones périphériques et des villes périphériques aussi. Alors, on se retrouve en notre centre avec de graves problématiques au niveau de la pauvreté, de l'itinérance, de l'exclusion et du même coup de l'accessibilité à l'habitation parce que, bon, il y a tout le marché spéculatif qui est là. Dans les années 70, bon, il y a des HLM qui ont été développés qui étaient vraiment faits par la ville pour offrir des logements à prix modique, très lourds quand même comme gestion. L'industrie privée qui a développé, mais là, bon, il y avait le problème de spéculation où les loyers augmentent incessamment au niveau des grandes villes. Et est arrivée une troisième voie qui était justement l'habitation communautaire. Où, par un programme gouvernemental, on accompagnait des organismes communautaires qui étaient en service et en accompagnement auprès des personnes exclues à devenir des constructeurs et des gestionnaires immobiliers aussi en même temps pour permettre à des personnes très éloignées de pouvoir avoir accès à un logement et d'être soutenus dans le paiement du loyer, mais également aussi dans toutes les sphères de la vie, dans les accompagnements. C'est pas évident parce qu'on est arrivé avec des organismes communautaires qui n'avaient pas nécessairement d'expertise au niveau immobilier, donc il a fallu les accompagner. On a créé les groupes de ressources techniques à Montréal, d'ailleurs, qui les accompagnent avec vraiment des ressources de gestionnaires de projets, d'architectes, de concepteurs, pour vraiment développer ces projets-là qui devenaient quelque chose de très innovant et beaucoup plus agile pour les villes, qui nous permettait d'offrir ce qu'on planifie en tant que logement abordable de façon plus aisée que si on construisait nous-mêmes, si on était nous-mêmes le constructeur. Donc, on pouvait utiliser l'économie sociale à ce sens-là. Ce qui est intéressant. Sinon, au niveau de l'itinérance, il y a aussi tout le volet de la pré-employabilité et de l'employabilité. Parce que, encore une fois, il y a des gens très éloignés du marché du travail. Et là, ici, je vais prendre le modèle tapage, qui est un modèle sur lequel j'ai travaillé moi-même, où on embauche à la journée des gens issus, des gens vivant dans la rue, pour du travail civique dans la communauté, qui n'est pas fait par la ville, par exemple. Donc, on leur offre de façon très transitoire la possibilité de se réinsérer comme ça. Au Québec, vraiment, Montréal est la plaque tournante au niveau de la réinsertion par l'emploi. parle de 50% des organismes en employabilité ou en pré-employabilité qui se trouvent là. Donc, ça nous permet vraiment de travailler sur la réintégration de ces personnes-là et ça nous donne une agilité en tant que ville. Tranquillement, à Montréal, on retrouve certains pouvoirs. Au niveau de l'habitation, par exemple, le programme Accès Logis qui était avant à Québec, maintenant nous avons récupéré ces pouvoirs-là et les crédits municipaux. Par contre, au niveau de l'itinérance, on a des responsabilités, mais très, très peu de moyens. Donc, on n'a pas le choix de faire levier à ces problématiques-là qui sont vécues dans nos villes parce que le seul moyen qu'on a de se financer en tant que ville, c'est la taxe foncière. Donc, d'augmenter la taxe foncière met une pression encore plus grande sur nos citoyens et c'est difficile pour nous d'investir directement dans l'intervention sociale en notre centre. Donc, le fait de faire appel et d'être levier et d'investir dans le développement de l'économie sociale nous permet d'avoir cette offre de services-là sur notre territoire à impact social.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
En fait, vous avez dit une chose fondamentale. C'est vrai qu'il y a la concentration des richesses, comme on le disait dans la session précédente, mais on a aussi la concentration de la pauvreté. D'ailleurs, il y a des études qui sont faites au niveau mondial qui démontrent comme la loi de concentration de la richesse est la même à tous les niveaux, au niveau national, au niveau régional, au niveau local, et il y a toujours des morceaux qui restent en pauvreté totale. Et je pense que now I will give the floor to Madame Seitz. You have a very special viewpoint actually from your network to understand how these processes are shared at worldwide level and are not processes happening in France or in Quebec, but they are happening at the worldwide level. The floor is yours.
If you look at these processes from a worldwide perspective, I am afraid we might not be able to be as positive as the way that we have described it just now. I think we need to ask ourselves what the opportunities are, but also why it is not having the impact that it should be having. And the reality is there is a great tension nowadays between the global and the local notion, and so the competencies that local administration have to decide on the way that they look, and what citizens understand as opportunities is also a tension between the global and the local. From the perspective of our own World Organization, what we are trying to say is we at local level are not mere implementers of global visions. You need to have global visions, but we at local level need to have local agendas. You actually need to provide the environment to people to decide how they want to live. And the issue is if you talk about social economy only as a repair, as a repair mean, as something that you implement when everything else has failed and goes wrong, then that's a mistake, you know. So, I mean, you go to that when you need to include people that nobody else wanted to include. You go to that when the big multinational companies have gone away. And that might be great and it might function, but it doesn't bring about the kind of transformation that you probably want for your communities. We want a full-fledged transformation that is able to make people own their own future. And in order to do that, social economy should not be understood as a patch. It should not be understood as a mean to mend something that is not working well, but actually as a mean to understand economy in a very different way than we are understanding it now. And in fact, that would need to imply that you understand growth in a very different way than we understand it now. And that the systems of cities and that the governments of cities should not be based on competition like they are still based now, and that we should not be governing for the elite like we are still governing now. Because let us remember, I mean, I am a localist, I am a municipalist, I am devoting my life to this. So I truly believe that if we build things from the bottom up and we we use the government of proximity, we can actually achieve the kind of societies that we want to achieve. And if I look to societies like Bilbao and many others, these are probably very good places to be. But I also live in big cities, and I know big cities, and I know how much the decisions are being taken far away from the people that I voted to govern me, actually. So I think we need to look at it from a broader perspective, and this is what we are trying to do with the community of practice on social economy in United Cities and local governments. I think that you have already enough networks that know very well the kind of tools that you need to put in place to actually make social economy work. You have very good examples of what is already working and might be working less. What we need now to do is to create a broader understanding on how to bring about social economy as a milestone for the kind of social transformation and ecological transformation that we need to go through. So it's a slightly different perspective, but at the end of the day, it comes to the same place. I mean, we are convinced that it is a very important tool, but it needs to go beyond repairing that the market doesn't know how to solve. It is much more than that.
Exactly. Thank you for raising this point. Actually, we have to get rid of this mantra that social economy is a tool to cope with market failure. We are not a roue de secours for the market failure. And one of the problems that was raised is about employment. Employment is changing, and social economy has something to say from that point of view, that is not simply deal with the market failure, is really reorganized. So I turn to you from this point of view.
As the ILO is becoming 100, we are talking about the future of work and what are the mega challenges that we have to be prepared for at the local, national, international levels, with environmental change, technological change, the economic growing inequalities, casualization of labor, but also demographic change, aging societies. And within this, I would like to just give one example. Green jobs, responding to environmental challenges, is going to be one of the growth areas. So how do we prepare our youth, our next generations, our economies, local infrastructure to respond to this? And going to your point about inclusion, for instance, one of the big strategic objectives for us is how do you formalize informal economy workers, waste pickers, street vendors, domestic workers, taxi drivers. And let's look at the waste pickers, for instance. In the global south, as much as 80% of cities' garbage can be collected by informal recycling workers. How do we ensure that these workers are integrated into municipal solid waste management systems? That the contracts are not going to big business who are then subcontracting these waste pickers for pittance? You may say, oh, these waste picker jobs are going to go away. Well, maybe yes, but then again, the question is, how do we ensure these workers and their livelihoods do not disappear? How do we reskill them? How do we reintegrate them to this transformation? We've seen waste pickers, social and solidarity economy organization in South Asia, in India, in Latin America, Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, negotiating with the local government. So when they are collecting, sorting, recycling waste, the local government is providing them with the space, with the training, with the occupational safety and health, with ergonomic wheelbarrows. And we've seen this in Pune, Karnataka, for instance. This is innovation, it's local innovation. In Medellin, in Colombia, in Belo Horizonte, in Brazil. So then the question becomes how that innovation at the local level gets translated to the global. So we can have the Dakar garbage dump is also being managed in collaboration with waste pickers, social economy organizations and enterprises integrated into the waste management chain. So there is, in fact, networks, a Global Waste Pickers Alliance, so we are talking about the local feeding into a global solidarity network. There's a Latin American, for instance, recycling workers network. And what they're doing is the good practices from Colombia, from Brazil, from Argentina, how do we translate them for Costa Rica and Panama and Nicaragua? And we are very much there with them and for them to support this. And I would like to say, since we are saying cities, there are examples from my own home country, Turkey, where we see municipalities working to integrate these workers. And I think some of the learning in these forums would benefit from the invitation to such municipalities and such social economy actors as well. So the Global South is better integrated into this discussion where majority of the workers live. Thank you.
Thank you. You have been talking about integration that makes me think also of the importance of equal opportunities. That is, integrate not only North-South, but also different groups into the society, into the cities. So I turn to Madame Beneria with the same question, but with a special view on the issue of equality, equal opportunities for all.
Well, I must say that this question was sent to us, and since we had only 2.5 minutes, I prepared very carefully the 2.5 minutes, and I basically have them here. And the questions, and I agree very much with this question that you sent us, saying that some of the most important socio-economic processes beyond the control of cities have resulted from changes in the labor market. But I decided that what I want to do here is to remind ourselves that behind the changes in the labor market, there have been especially four underlying processes that have contributed to these changes. The first is since the 1970s, the economic restructuring and globalization shifted production from high to low income countries. Changes in the labor markets have been very deep since then, affecting the dynamics of employment and wage levels. In addition, under neoliberalism, we have witnessed increasing income inequalities across the board, which have affected the development and structure of cities. Second factor, technological change, which has been replacing human labor in so many production processes, and it has destabilized and deeply transformed the dynamics of employment. One result has been the shift from what we used to call the labor contract of the 1970s all the way up to the 70s, to shift, it has moved to a shifting and unstable labor contract that predominates so much generally, globally. Third, the 2008 economic crisis had devastating effects, as we all know, on employment opportunities, affecting so many people, and it generated high levels of unemployment in many countries. It has led to the informalization of work, even in high-income countries. In the past, when I used to study the informal sector, it used to be in developing countries. And now, here, what do we have is the precariat, very informal labor, or a mass of labor suffering from very precarious work conditions and employment insecurity. The fourth, the wars in the Middle East and economic and social and political tensions in Africa and Latin America have fed increasing levels of migration to Europe and other countries, generating the ongoing refugee and immigration crisis whose solutions are hard to find. All of these, resulting from these processes, have placed many pressures and created new problems, particularly for cities, where an increasingly larger number of people concentrate. New levels of poverty, homelessness, crowding, pressures around public spaces, budget problems, and issues generated by migration in refugee pressures. I believe that the role that the social economy can play in helping cities to deal with these problems is very crucial, not only to face specific problems, but as a way to search for alternatives towards a new paradigm of economic and social organization. I hope I'll talk about it later.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, we are in a mechanism that is creating an explosive situation for cities. that cities have to deal with. So I turn to Marty. This is something that you are witnessing in the exchanges you are organizing among cities. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Going back to when you opened the panel, talking about the fact that cities are stuck with problems that arise from things that they don't control, and these are really, there's many. There's the market dynamics that they don't control at all, and of course the politics or policies at the national level, which have a huge impact, and we've seen many neoliberal policies put in place in the last 30, 40 years, which have impacted cities usually in areas where they don't have any competencies, in healthcare, for example, education, a certain part of the infrastructures. And so the challenge is quite huge. And I think we need to recognize, and we see this all over the world, that often social economy has been at the forefront of proposing solutions for these problems. Civil society reacts very quickly when there's problems in organizing and proposing solutions, but not having access to the resources or the appropriate policy environment to be able to succeed with that is a huge problem. And I'm happy to see that in many cities in the world we're seeing citizen governments or more progressive governance opening up those spaces and those dynamics for these collaborations to materialize. But unfortunately, I've experienced it personally in the city of Gatineau 15 years ago, where we were proposing to the city a turnkey project for community composting at the city level. Composting started 2 years ago, right? And they're doing it with the private sector. They had a solution 15 years ago. The population was ready. It was a good project. The people that worked on the business plan are in this room, certain of them. And the government, the local government, was just not ready for that type of collaboration and didn't have the vision. And I think that we need to have that long-term vision for that collaboration to happen. We need to have the appropriate level of resources, the same kind of resources that we put into the private sector when we support the private sector, and we put a lot. In Quebec, we give almost free electricity to the aluminum sector or to large industries. It's not even factored in the budgets. You know, that money doesn't appear, but they're huge. They're billions of dollars. And when you look at the social economy being 14% of the GDP, we're not putting equivalent resources there. If we did, we could do even more amazing things. We're starting to see the new government in Montreal came out with a very progressive and very interesting and transversal public policy. The first time Montreal has that, and I'm sure it's going to produce some amazing things. But we need to recognize also that solidarity takes a long time to build. We're asking these organizations, our solidarity and social economy organizations, to do the most difficult things and to do it fostering participation, democracy, co-construction, solidarity towards their community, etc., high environmental standards. We need to give them the appropriate resources, and when we fund them or build programs, we need to give them the time to accomplish this. They already have a higher survival rate than the private sector, so we should not see that as a big risk. But we could have even less failure and even more success if we just change the way we're working. For that, Robert was mentioning, cities don't have a lot of levers in terms of financing, and so they need to have new powers. We need to have new fiscal agreements in order for cities, because they're the ones who see those problems, who are dealing with immigration policy, for example. New York is a great example where they're using co-ops as a way to integrate immigrants, but they're putting solid money behind that, and they're working in partnership with social economy organizations, and we can see that it's producing some amazing results. And they're doing it in collaboration with the cities that are generating that migration as well. So that link between cities is extremely important. We need to work together.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you also for opening for the next part of the discussion. The bad news is that we have less than 10 minutes to finish. So I will ask you to be even more concise. You've already been very good, but to be even more concise. Actually, you said one important thing. Cities have less and less resources and more responsibilities, if I can translate like that. And social economy is very often, we asking possible things to social economy, like to deal with big problem of public administration, if we want to put it. Best way is to establish partnership, sure, but what could be the pathway for that? So which are the roads we can follow? Je recommence à nouveau par Christiane. Quelle direction? En une minute.
Je pense que les partenariats, effectivement, entre les collectivités et les structures de l'ESS sont essentiels pour répondre aux défis. D'abord, par la co-construction des politiques publiques. Je pense que c'est une démarche aussi du diagnostic en mettant en place les outils de suivi, plus l'évaluation aussi concertée. C'est un des éléments aussi qui présuppose une posture aussi un peu différente de l'ensemble des acteurs. Les partenariats doivent se traduire par des modes de contractualisation aussi différentes. Il faut sortir de la logique, vous l'avez dit madame, de mise en concurrence des acteurs aujourd'hui. C'est-à-dire qu'il faut sortir aussi, privilégier par exemple la subvention à long terme pour que les gens puissent s'organiser aussi sur la durée plutôt que sur les marchés publics. Il faut intégrer des logiques de coopération dans les modes d'organisation. Je pense aussi que le statut, par exemple, de société coopérative d'intérêt collectif, qui positionne aussi la collectivité dans une démarche aussi beaucoup plus globale auprès des acteurs pour répondre au modèle, est aussi un mode de faire, et là aussi apporte un changement de posture de la collectivité. Il faut réinterroger les pratiques et les postures de chacun. Vous avez parlé du temps, effectivement, le temps long des acteurs et pas le temps court du politique, mais je pense qu'il est important de respecter ce temps-là pour reconnaître aussi la capacité des initiatives de l'ESS à être producteur aussi de l'intérêt général. Je pense que la collectivité, je l'ai déjà dit tout à l'heure, mais pour moi, a un rôle d'animation de ces différentes politiques territoriales. Son rôle à jouer, c'est un rôle d'animation. Et il faut aussi repenser l'organisation interne des collectivités qui ont un fonctionnement beaucoup trop en silo et du coup ne repensent pas la politique dans une démarche globale. Enfin, juste pour conclure mon propos, j'ai envie de dire que je parle aussi d'un territoire et d'une collectivité qui est du côté des pays développés et qu'effectivement, on a les moyens de mettre en place ces différentes politiques publiques et de sécuriser les dynamiques de co-construction, ce qui n'est pas toujours d'ailleurs facile à traduire juridiquement, j'en suis consciente, mais qu'il y a d'autres pays où effectivement les collectivités ne sont pas leaders, c'est vraiment la société civile qui est porteuse et qui gère, et je pense qu'il faut qu'ici au GSEF, on prenne en compte aussi ces différentes réflexions, qu'on réfléchisse aussi au format d'alliance, à la visibilité de l'ESS, au poids peut-être de la finance solidaire aussi, ce qu'il représente, et de travailler aussi aux mesures d'impact.
J'économise du temps, mais c'est Vaudry directement. Je vous en prie.
Oui, bien écoutez, je pense que les villes doivent prendre des risques. Je pense que les villes doivent être audacieuses, qu'elles doivent être agiles, qu'elles doivent être rapides au niveau de l'économie sociale. On a tous des stratégies des villes de développement économique. On prend des risques, on investit énormément de temps, énormément de ressources dans le développement économique de nos villes. Eh bien, on n'a qu'à intégrer l'économie sociale aussi à ce développement économique-là, comme étant une part intégrante de notre développement économique. Et c'est ce qu'on a fait, nous, à Montréal, dans le cadre de notre stratégie de développement économique Accélérer Montréal, où on a eu une entente avec le gouvernement provincial de Québec, justement, on parlait tantôt d'aller chercher des crédits supplémentaires, des leviers supplémentaires. On a été chercher 150 millions sur 5 ans, graduels, au niveau de notre développement économique. Eh bien, nous, ce qu'on s'est dit, c'est l'opportunité est trop belle, on va y intégrer l'économie sociale dans cette planification économique-là, parce que c'est du développement économique au départ. C'est du développement économique, ça a un impact social, mais c'est du développement économique. Donc, l'économie sociale est transversale. Les services qu'on offre en tant que ville à nos entrepreneurs, on les offre aussi aux gens de l'économie sociale, des services pour croître, pour développer l'entrepreneuriat, par exemple. Bien, les gens qui sont à l'intérieur de l'économie sociale ont besoin de tels services aussi, services d'accompagnement, des fonds spécifiques de subvention. On a réservé 9 millions de dollars dédiés uniquement à l'économie sociale pour leur développement, pour leur croissance, pour la naissance de nouveaux modèles. Il faut aussi qu'on soit agile, tantôt je l'ai dit, qu'on soit sur le territoire, qu'on soit au niveau du territoire. À Montréal, il y a eu une grande transformation de nos CEDEC qui faisaient très bien le développement territorial, mais qui ont été revus par les autres paliers de gouvernement. Maintenant, ce sont des PME Montréal. Eh bien, aujourd'hui, on rajoute une couche de services à ces PME Montréal-là pour qu'elles fassent ce développement territorial-là, pour qu'elles aient voir les opportunités, parce qu'il y a énormément d'innovation au niveau de l'économie sociale, mais souvent, on n'arrive pas à la capter, nous, en tant que ville. Et le fait que notre structure est tellement grosse et tellement complexe et pas assez agile, on ne peut pas l'intégrer dans nos processus. Alors, en tant que ville, c'est de l'audace et de l'audace. Voilà.
Madame Saïd.
I think we need to dare to question many of the things that we have been told up until now. I think if there is something that we have learned from the global financial crisis is that many of the models that they said were not working, and it's even worse, nobody understood how they were working, because if they would have understood it, maybe they wouldn't have been even legalized. And so I think that that is the challenge that cities nowadays have. First of all, defending the commons. And that is something that we need to do, maybe reversing some of the privatizations that have been taking place of some of the very basic services, I will say water, etc. Not because private sector is bad by definition, but because private sector needs to be engaged in a way that matches its responsibility. And some of the responsibility that they have taken on board does not match the social responsibility that goes with it. And so that is something that will be a basic revision if we want to have the social economy model working. So the partnerships with the private sector needs to change, also because we often see private sector as the only promoters of labor, and the reality is that in the global south they are not. It's over 70% of the workers do not depend on the private sector, really. They are self-employed. And so the link between the informal sector, the self-employed, and the public sector needs to be revisited, and it will be a very important thing to do. And finally, I fully agree with you. One of the speakers said, look, solidarity is something that you need to build, and that is very tough. And you know what? In order to regain the kind of trust that we need between the public sector, the political leadership, and the citizens, we will also need time, and we'll also need to construct trust. But it will be key to do that if we want this kind of social model to work, not only based on solidarity and not only based to fix that is not working, but actually to build the future that we want to build, which is a very different objective.
Thank you. Madame Zim, it's your floor.
Another area of growth of jobs we are going to see in the future is that of the care economy. I mentioned earlier demographic changes, aging populations, people living with disabilities, chronic illness, and how do we provide care for these people? Social care is a part of social policy, is a public good, and is the responsibility, at least in the welfare state paradigm, of the responsibilities of the state. Yes, this could be done in PPP, in public-private partnership form, but state's role is not just regulatory in this sense, but it's also in terms of identifying the local practices that are fair in their labor practices, that provide good services for the beneficiaries, and then how to bring them to scale and how to expand them. We do see, of course, a lot of care cooperatives and other social and solidarity economy enterprises being formed in the provision of social care. The households of those who need the care, the workers, care workers. In here, it's very important to have the local government as critical partners. We see a lot of these care workers are informal, are women, are migrants. Marty mentioned the New York social economy ecosystem. In fact, we see a lot of immigrants, like Sisi Puede. It's a cooperative of Latina immigrants providing home care services. And there is innovation there where linking them with platform cooperatives using online applications so these home care workers, these domestic workers, can negotiate the market better through putting contracts online, being able to access and scan the households that are there. One cautionary point, and this goes back to what we expect of social economy, when you have the public sector cuts, it's very important that provision of care, as the example that I'm using, is not pushed down for flexibilization of labor and disguised privatization of these services that are state responsibility to the social and solidarity economy, where the state, local government or national is the main and sometimes the only customer, client. The measures need to be about good labor practices, good services, as well as cost effectiveness.
Thank you. We are already over time. I apologize with the workshops. I have to start now, and I give the floor to Madame Beneria.
All right, so let me say very briefly that, so sorry, I'm sorry. That the social economy represents a change of paradigm. No, I'm sorry. What did I do here? Here. All right, I'm sorry. I want to say that cities are particularly, as we all know, appropriate to experiment and foster new economic models and to promote local experiments. I know that Gerardo Pisarello has spoken about Barcelona this morning. I just want to mention, in addition to what he said, the fact that the city of Barcelona, through a special institution called Barcelona Activa, Active Barcelona, has had a very dynamic effect on to promote the social economy in the city of Barcelona, 1.6 million population, where there are now close to 900 cooperatives representing 18.2% of the city's firms, 8% of the city's total employment, and 7% of the city's output. And also Barcelona has 100,000 people working as volunteers, many of them in the deliveries of services and initiatives around the environment. In addition, I think we haven't mentioned it here, but it's worth remembering that cities have especially cities that are surrounded by big populations around, have a strong influence on those environments. And in Catalonia, where Barcelona is the capital, 7.5 million people, there are over 4,000 cooperatives employing 45,000 people, and so on. I'm not going to bother you with the statistics, but I do want to mention that influence that cities have on their surroundings. And then just take advantage of these few minutes to say that in the same way that the 1929, I'll take you back, a 1929 great crisis led to new economic thinking and to greater involvement of the state and public funds in policy making. I'm talking about Keynes and the Keynesianism of the 1950s and 1960s. And the question now, I think we are at a point where we can ask, could we not find new paths to deal with the effects of the 2008 crisis and the current many problems with the problems that the regular economy is creating? I would argue that yes, we must find and construct new paths and new thinking, and we can argue that the social economy can generate new models of partnership and cooperation around production and service delivery. Just let me add that we all know that the social economy represents a change of paradigm in the organization of economic life that can be deep, away from the economic man, and of the predominance of the economic in general and greed, which is so much at the core of capitalism and neoliberalism. A new paradigm with alternative ways of organizing economic activity. We need to press also for a new consciousness among the population so that the economy is not number one objective for all of us to take care of. A consciousness that leads to cooperation and solidarity at the everyday level, and so that we can also use new technologies leading to the cooperative economy, to equality and economic democracy and the promotion of the commons globally and at the local level, and the protection of the environment, of course. I'm going to leave it.
Thank you. Martin.
I think Robert is right. We need to take more risks if we want to have innovation and meet all the challenges that we're facing. We need to risk, and that means that we need to accept a certain level of failure. We need to allow civil society and social economy organizations to try new things and give them the money and the tools and the time to do that, and accept the failure and not stigmatize it, but recognize that that's also building knowledge. That's useful, right? And we have to capture that knowledge and use it. I think we need to have more diversity in the models, less of a cookie-cutter approach, so we can adapt to local conditions at the neighborhood level, at the, because we often have these norms and these programs and these, it's the same for every community, every neighborhood, and we need to let people adapt and innovate as well. I think we also need to have less silos, which means accept multi-service, multi-activity approaches as well. If we're going to develop health prevention programs, why not give them to existing SSE organizations that are already reaching thousands of people, but maybe with another mission, but not say, oh, you're not a healthcare organization, you can't do that, right? And then we're maximizing resources, but we're also simplifying people's lives. And so when we talk about simplifying bureaucracy, it's mostly changing the way we look at things and we do things, I think. And so I can see a lot of that happening everywhere. And the culture of trust is really important, and the co-creation of that. So it starts with the conversation. Cooperation is a contact sport, right? We have to be in contact with each other and co-create together. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for this very interesting discussion. I think there are a lot of keywords that you've been putting on, given to the floor, that will be taken during the different seminars, the different workshops we are going to have. They are all keywords related to social economy. I've just put on top of that all this serves at the end of the day to accomplish what is not really, for a lot of people in this world, does not exist yet, that is freedom. And social economy is mainly about freedom. So we have to build new system in order to have real and actual freedom for all citizens. I thank you all. I'm sorry for the delay. Yeah. I give you the floor.
No, it's okay. We also want to thank you. On veut aussi vous remercier pour vos efforts de synthèse, ainsi que l'équipe des traductions et bien sûr celui des langages des signes pour tous leurs efforts. Now we want to invite you to join the workshops on floor -2, and we want to remind you that at the end of the workshops, it's better for us if you give back your translation devices because you can get back your IDs, but also because we can charge them for tomorrow. At the end of the workshops, and to wrap up this intense working day, we hope you will join us for a concert at Bilbao Rock. It's one of the most popular concert halls here in Bilbao. It's next to the old part of the city, and at 7 p.m. youth social change makers will be playing. So hopefully we will meet you there too. Enjoy the afternoon, the evening, and see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning.